Hello. Okay, I think we're live. So, welcome to NVIDIA Omniverse Office Developer Office Hour. Um, Man, I couldn't have messed that up any worse. Welcome to NVIDIA Omniverse Developer Office Hour. Happy Friday. If you are just coming in, let me know if you're here. Say hi in the chat, and I will get started with just an intro to what this is for if this is your first time here. So here on Developer Office Hour, I do this every Friday at this time, 10 a.m. Eastern. And what I do is just come on here and answer questions that come up on the forums, Discord, any questions that somebody might reach out to me and say, hey, could you cover this on Developer Office Hour? And then also, if you have any questions and you're here, feel free to just ask them in the chat, and then I'll go through those as well. And anything that I can't answer today, I'll go ahead and try to prepare for the next week. So everything that I show here today and every past developer office hour is housed in this repository here. Chat up here. And the way that you can navigate this is there's a link here to Omniverse FAQ where every question that's asked is listed, and you can get timestamped links to the videos. And then also in this repository, there's an extension for every date that I've done. And then you can come in here to any one of these and you can look at the source code that I shared, whether it's just one-off scripts that I wrote, or if I did something more elaborate within an extension, you would see it in there. So that is Developer Office Hour in a nutshell. And I think we can get started. So today I have one question that came up, which I thought was a good one. I'll go ahead and minimize that. Let's share it here in the banner. How do I get an Omniverse app to pick up a new environment variable? So this one is kind of easy to get tripped up on. So I thought it was a good one to cover here. Environment variables, we're talking about system environment variable. You know, if you on Windows, if you search for environment variable, you get these system properties, and then you come into environment variables, and you can set custom ones. This is mostly an issue if you're in developing, right? I know you'll see why in a moment, why it's more of a developer issue than a standard user issue. But say you went into that menu, set up an environment variable, came over, and in fact, let me go ahead and set one up. Well, let's go through the whole step. I'm launching code right now, and I'm going to check for an environment variable. Just spinning up here on the side. All right. So I come into environment, and there's actually an environment variable called OS. So if I run that, I get my OS environment variable there. If I made some environment variable up and I ran it, that doesn't exist. I get a key error, as I would expect. But now I'm going to go into my environment settings, which I won't show. I'm going to do this off screen, but if you're running into this issue, you probably already know how to do this. Here. And I'm just doing foo bar. Okay, and then I say okay, and then I run this again, and this is expected. It would fail again. Um, you'd at least expect that you need to restart your app for this to take. So I'm going to go ahead and restart it. Hey Zia, welcome. Welcome, Mohammed. Almost there. And I launched this from the launcher. Foo, right? And still no key named foo, but I'm certain I did that right. And just as a sanity check, I will check this. Yep, it's there. So what's going on here? Another thing that I could do is settings. What happens if I come over here and maybe I launch from the batch file, or I could do command line and run this batch file too. Is it going to work or is it not going to work? Hey, Nandu. If you're in the chat, let me know what you think. Is the environment variable going to get picked up by running the batch file instead of launching from the launcher? Should be the same, right? It worked. I set the value to bar, and that's what it printed out there. So why did that work, right? That's what the launcher does, or it just launches that, it runs that batch file. Why did this one work? And it would also work if I ran it from command line. If I opened up a bash console and window and ran it, same deal. And the reason for that is that when you launch from a totally valid workaround would be just execute the batch file directly. But when you launch an app from the launcher, it inherits the environment from the launcher. It's a subprocess of the launcher. So I would, just like I thought, well, I need to restart my app. Actually, you need to also restart the launcher, since that launcher hasn't been, the process hasn't been restarted to pick up the new environment variables, excuse me. So I will go ahead and do that here off screen because I'm on the internal launcher here. But you can trust me. I am just I went into the task man. What do they call this thing? I think it's the task manager, the icons on the bottom right that you get on your main window. And I actually did not kill it. So let me kill that. you right click on the Omniverse launcher icon and say exit, and that will officially kill it. And so now when I restart the launcher, it's going to pick up the new environment. And now when I launch my app from this restarted launcher, I'm going to get my environment variable in there. So really, this is just a development issue for the most part, right? It's a developer comes in or you're messing around with environment variables and you would hit this. Your users probably wouldn't hit this. You wouldn't go set up environment variables in the back end for them. Probably when your extension starts up, you would maybe set some environment variables in your extension code. So all of this would be irrelevant at that point. Restart my app. Why didn't it pick up the environment variable? And that's because it's launching as a sub process from the launcher. So let's verify here now. BP. All right, and there's our value bar. Cool. Any questions about that? They call it the system tray. That's what it is. Thank you. Thanks, Zia, for questioning me again on the taskbar. The taskbar is the whole bottom section, right? And then the little drawer that opens up with all the icons. That's the system tray, I think. Cool. So yeah, if you're making any sort of environment changes on your machine and you expect your Omniverse apps to respond to that, it could be USD changes. You're setting up some environment variables for USD. That there are a few, or maybe even some Python libraries that you might have installed and you want to configure them. That's where you would run into this, and you want to make sure to restart that launcher. All right. So if there are no further questions on that, that's the only one I had for today. So we can do open forum. Any questions from the chat? I can. I've got another one. I was saving it for next week. I wanted to have a nice, clean example, but we can talk through it today if we're a little slow on questions. Yeah, John, great question. John's asking if Omniverse comes with any assets that are publicly available. The answer is yes. We have quite a few. One is you can access a number of assets here, 1,800 assets from the NVIDIA Assets browser here. From pretty much any of the apps will have this window open. So those are the ones that we make available. We have partners that also provide their assets through the asset store here. So we have, not there. There's a filter here somewhere. ActorCore, Sketchfab, and TurboSquid that are integrated directly here. And then on the Omniverse launcher, there's a tab called Exchange, and you can also download assets from there. Those are all provided free under the NVIDIA content license, which is fairly permissible. Yep, and many of them are so many of the content packs that are available there are the ones that are here. They're just bundled together into logical content packs. And then lastly, some demo packs. They're meant to go all onto the exchange at some point, but sometimes you'll find in this NVIDIA folder some assets that haven't made it there yet. We might have put them here first, and then they'll eventually make it onto the exchange. So that's all of the assets that we have available for you. Another cool one that I should mention is our materials. We have this base, twin brew, and V materials that are all available in here, and there are a lot of them, and they look amazing. So check these out if you're interested in materials as well. Let me know if you have any other questions, John. I hope that answers it. Let me answer this one. So how to package an app to an EXE. Currently, that is not possible, and I don't see that being permissible for the foreseeable future. Let me talk about that a little bit. We have this Kit app template right now. This is based off of Kit 104. When Kit 105 launches, this will be changing, and there's going to be lots of improvements here to keep an eye out for. But for now, the way that this is designed is that you would when you package it, you would get a zip file, a zip archive with all the things that you need in order to distribute your extension. And right now it's tied to the launcher. This will potentially be changing in Kit 105. So your end users need to download the Omniverse launcher and link to it. The limitation right now is that we don't allow developers to distribute Kit, the SDK, the executable. So that you wouldn't be able to, even though, say, Python, you can do like a Py to exe potentially. And I haven't tried it, but if you were looking to go do something in that route, you wouldn't be able to. Sorry, I'm just thinking through this. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to redistribute the Kit executable. So you wouldn't be able to actually bundle everything into a single executable that you need. With Kit 105, I'm hopeful that what you could do is create an installer using the Kit app template. So you put together everything that you need. You create an installer with something like Wix toolset or something like that. I've used this in the past. You could build an installer with that and do all the configuration that you need to have a seamless installation for everyone. This is just kind of what I'm envisioning. The Kit team might actually be providing tools to make that easy. But yeah, I think keep an eye out for Kit 105. I think it'll be a lot more streamlined for that. But today there isn't really a way to, if you were looking to distribute just one executable, there isn't a way to do that right now. Cool. Zia. Zia's asking about the just character rigging and whether the Lego character rig is relevant. We could look at it a little bit. I don't have enough experience building a USD rig, like a USD scale is the schema that we use for that. I haven't done that manually yet. I've used it, but not gone through the process of step-by-step building it. We can talk about UV scaling. I think that would be helpful. There was a question about that. So let me see. That one's going to be a little bit involved. I'm going to have to fumble through it a little bit. So let me see if I can get some of these other questions out of the way. There's this question about loading HDR format of an image. The image is very exposed. I might need some more context for that. That could be just basic. Depending on how you're doing it, you may be trying to display an HDR in a as an LDR, in which case you need to do some processing in order to do that. Oddly enough, I did a blog post a while back about this. So you might find this relevant and helpful. I think it was this one. So this might be what you're running into, is that, there's no, an HDR has a number of different, is built with a number of different exposure of one way to build it is you take a bunch of images, LDR images of different exposures, and then use that to build an HDR. And so sometimes when you immediately convert an LDR to an HDR to an LDR, you don't get the exposure that you'd expect. So have a look here. I'm guessing you're trying to display that LDR as that HDR as a low dynamic range in some UI. So cool. Following up on that HDR discussion, if the HDR comes in as an environment dome light, we want to keep the light, but how do we not render the asset? Good question. I think that's going to be improved in Kit 105. Let me actually pull in one of these environments. Hey, look, here's the same one that I used for my tutorial. Still loading hours. Okay. I don't remember. I know I was playing around with, whoops. What did I do there? Delete that one. I want to make sure I just get only the dome light. And let's do a cube. And then we can do a plane. Sweet. So that's it. Visible and primary array. So this is in Kit 104 as well. Cool. So you get all of the lighting and reflections, and without the background. Easy peasy. Nandu's asking about if we're providing a faster mechanism to recompile older extensions to newer versions. I think that's up to each individual developer. So with Python, you don't need to recompile, right? But there may be API changes that they'll need to test and account for. there is some work looking to alert third-party developers of API changes. So we're aware of that, and we want to make that smoother. But for today, you would probably have to run your tests and make sure that everything is working on the new version. And then as far as C++ extensions, yeah, if there's an ABI breaking changes, then I mean, you are absolutely going to have to recompile, right? We made significant changes with USD and Python, so that's fairly expected that you would have to recompile your extensions and publish them for Kit 105. All right, let's do this one because this one's code, and then we'll do the UV scaling. So Will wants to loop through references on a prim and get the prim path and asset path. Well, the prim path shouldn't change unless you're talking about the target prim for each reference. Yeah, so let's try that out. Can I do this in a way that, can I build an example here? This is going to be a bit of a mess, but let's see what happens. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to save this cube. I'm going to do a new one. Save this cone. Move the sphere. Okay. Now we do a new thing, and let's create a next form here, and then we're going to add some references on that next form. We're going to add cone, cube, and sphere. Cone ref, cube ref, sphere ref. Okay, well, it decided to add it like that. Odd. That's not what I wanted at all. Let's do it this way. Cube ref. And did I miss the cone ref? Will it let me do two at a time? No, it only did one. It did cone. All right, let's keep going. That was cone. This will be cube. Did we get it? Yeah, we got two, right? And then one more. Sphere. All right, so we got all three. Now the question was, let's get that prim. I'll need to save the script after. Import. Make sure I'm seeing guys' comments. What is a reference? A reference is basically a way that we can aggregate other USD assets into a stage to build up a scene. So I can, it's essentially like an include or an import of assets into a stage, into a scene. So I'm going to get the stage. Context, and then get stage. And then we're going to get our prim by its path, get prim at path. Obviously hard coding this stuff. Your case will be probably more procedural, but this is the prim, right? That has the references. It's got 3 references. And now we can do refs is equal to prim dot get references. Print that out and see where we're at. Should be plural. Okay, we got this references object. And this is where my knowledge of the API has ended. So we can there is a trick to this. This is a list editable. So you can get the list directly. I thought there was a function for this, but that returns that. Let me think through this. Oh, I think you did. Do you just loop through it? Let me see. Refs. Does that do it? Iterable. Let's do. I know there's examples of this, but I just wanted to. All right, let's search it. Great question. This was a tricky one. Or, not an obvious one here. So let's go to Pixar USD. And we'll start with get references, and maybe there is a way to do this. And we go to the Python code, and there should be tests here with examples. That's how you add references. They're adding it as well. Looks like all of these are for adding or editing. Did I miss? Nope. There it is, reference. Well, you can get it from the prim spec. I don't love it. It's essentially metadata. I know I've done this. I've done this before, but it has been a while. So again, you can get the prim spec and get the get info references. I should probably prepare this for next week, but it's really bugging me and I want to answer it today. I wonder if the cookbook has an example. This one I'm seeing. Items is, see, here's how they're doing it. This is a little annoying. There it is, a reference list up. What is, I've never actually used this function. Oh, it must be converting that into a list. Right, that looks cool. No, I don't know what that did. Oh, there it is. Yeah, converted it to a list. So now we have a list of references. So then from there, so there you have what you want. And then I don't remember what the reference object has available to us. Print path and asset path. Let's see. Print path must be the target, and asset path must be the. Yeah, so I think the print path must be the target. And since I didn't specify a specific a target for these, that's what I got. But what happens if will this accept it? World. Okay. There we go. Sweet. Okay. Will, does that help? I think that covers it, right? Let me know if there was something else. It was Will that asked, right? Yeah. All right, I'm going to save this into a script file here, and then we'll move on. Still got time, folks. References. Good question. Okay. next on the list, when I use UI image to display images in network path in HDR format, the image is displayed. Yeah, so the context for the HDR format is to plug in an HDR image into UI.image. I want to say that, and you know, and you want to avoid creating thumbnails for these previews. I want to say that a UI image will not handle that for you automatically. One way to confirm would be to go into this environments extension and check what they did there. Some study must be this one. Yeah. I can find out though, just to have a definitive answer on that. Just see if I have a quick, if I can quickly find an example here. Oh, the button. Nope. Yeah, so I'll find out. But I'm leaning towards no. That you have to handle that yourself. All right. Best way to run Omniverse if you don't have access to a local computer with a GPU. Are there workstations for Azure or Google Cloud? We do have some containers for certain Omniverse apps that you could spin up and load there. I have to do a little search here. I'm having trouble finding the link, but yeah, if you can reach out to me on Discord, I can find that. Short answer is yes. That's going to be the solution for now. We have a few containers, and you can spin those up on a VM. Did I miss a question here? Alexandra, if you could clarify what you mean by a template. But yeah, I think it should run on a 460, 4060. If you're talking about any of the Omniverse apps. Discord name is. I have to look it up. I think it's just Maddie. Yeah, it's Maddie. You'll find me in the developer section. I don't remember. I can't pull up my handle right now, but yeah. Yes, Omniverse's UI framework is based on IM GUI. If that helps with your Discord with your HDR question. Thank you, Zia, for the AWS link. I'm guessing that's the right one. Can the content panel show previews of images? I thought it did. It may not show the HDRs, but it does here. Well, that's a USD. I've got some. Work. I don't actually know how to use that filter, but oh, you're right. Good point. I'll have to ask about that. That would be nice. We also have, yeah, I'll have to ask. All right, let me make a note of that. So Data Juggler was saying that some folders do and some folders don't, whether they've been indexed or not. My understanding, when we talk about previews or thumbnails, my understanding that's more about these thumbnails used as previews for the USD files. But I don't know. I don't think there's a process for indexing and creating and being able to view regular image files in here. That should be pretty automatic in my opinion. So let's find out. With the time that we have left, let's jump back to the texture scaling question. We'll create a plane. So for the most part, let's do a couple planes here because really comes down to a couple of materials. If, for example, we have this material, and then for this one, let's create OmniUSD preview surface with textures. Okay, and for that one, I need to set up textures because that's not going to have it. Diffuse color texture. Okay, I'm gonna have to edit the material graph. Okay. There's it was there the whole time, I just missed it. And then I've got the file browser definitely shows the images, right? Actually, it doesn't. I'm not sure. All right. USD. Okay. That doesn't look very good. All right. Well, the best we're going to get right now. Both of these have a scale attribute. So I should be able to, no, it's scaling the color. So we would need to do some special handling on this one. Do we have any sort of, yeah, so that one's going to be a bit more involved. With the MDLs, these have, most of these materials have a scale attribute defined. So this is the easy one, right? Is it tiling? No. Yeah. So tiling will simply scale. So that's the easy one. If we're using MDLs, pretty much every, I want to say all of them have this UV section, and that's how I would do the scaling. Although Zia was asking about UV scaling, but this originated from texture scaling mostly. It was the original request is how do I scale the texture, and one of the proposed solutions was, well, you could scale the UVs, but let's talk about texture scaling first. So that would be one way. Now for USD preview surface, we're not going to have that node there. So the way that we do that, and I'm just going to do this one. We're going to finish this one. USD. materials, USD API, and I don't have a full example here, unfortunately. So USD tutorials has an example here. And there is a 2D, actually this one doesn't have it either. All right, we need to have an example of this. The specification for USD preview surface talks about a transform 2D node. And there's the ID for creating it. So let's go to USD snippets again. Here's how to define a shader. I'm going to move this off to the side so that I can show the code. Okay, we need to define for this material here. Copy to clipboard. We're going to get the initial path. Material. And we're going to make this until path. Until prim. And then until path dot get prim. Get path. I'm going to append that. And the ID is going to be, I'm getting all of this from the specification for Transform 2D, is going to be, the ID is going to be USD Transform 2D. And scale is an input. It is of type float2. And we'll set it to, that takes. And there's also translate input data. Ugh, this is annoying. So it requires UV input data, and then it'll output the transformed result. All right, this one's going to be so sorry, just trying to find what's the quickest way for me to do this. I guess I have to start out with the tutorial, because that's going to have the most complete USD preview surface base. Mm-hmm. All right, we're at time. I'm basically starting from scratch here. Do y'all want to see me work through this, or should I save it for the next time? Your call. All right. Although we have a meeting. There's a meeting I don't want to miss at 11. Let's save this for next time. If anybody wants to play with this, basically where I was going with this is, if I look at the spec here, the spec for this wants an input float 2, which is basically your UV array, and then an output float 2 of that, and it will be the UV array after you've done these transformations. And that would get plugged into, if we look here, it's the same story here. We have this ST, the sampler for the texture. You're feeding in the UV source, and instead of feeding it in directly, it would go into the transform first, and then plugged into here. So let's do that. Yeah, let's save it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I hope some of that was helpful. I have a few questions to follow up on. Thank you for the great questions. We will do this one for sure. Next week, we'll have a full example. I think that'll be a good one to go through. All right. I hope you have a great weekend. If you're in the US, happy Memorial Day, and I'll catch you all next week. See ya.